Hi, this is Lou Pulsfer, and this time I'm going to tell you what makes my game design book unusual and occasionally unique. First of all, the book is only about game design and not about the business of game design. So it's not about marketing, funding, licensing, publishing, intellectual property. Those are occasionally mentioned, but the point of the book is designing games, not what you do after you've designed the game. Now, the exception to that is when it immediately impacts how you design the game. For example, free to play. If you want to make a video game that's free to play, you've got to design that into the game from the beginning. Now, someday I'll write a book about the business of game design, but it hasn't happened yet. Second, the book covers all games, not just video or just tabletop games. Almost all game design books are one or the other. So there are no vidiots or table dopes here. Those are folks who seem to think that the other kind of game, whether it's tabletop games or video games, doesn't matter. And of course, they're all games and it all matters. This works out very well because while there are many more people interested in video games than tabletop games, if you're going to learn to design games, you should start with tabletop games for a great variety of reasons which are explained in the book. The book is also less expensive than most game design books, which are typically $50, $75, and so on. Mine is $38 list, and there are much more economical electronic versions. And that's different from a lot of electronic books where the publisher has artificially kept the price of the electronic version at or near the price of the physical version. Another difference is the length. My book is the length of an average novel. That's 90 to 100,000 words. Mine's 100,000 words. Your typical game design book is much more massive than that. I made it a reasonable length because people are rarely willing to read long nonfiction books anymore. So I tried to make it not exhaustive and therefore not exhausting. Another difference is that the book is written by a commercially published game designer who is also a very experienced teacher. Many game design books tend to be one or the other, but not both. And I think you can see the advantages of having the author be both. And I've had games published, the first one in 1979. My game Britannia is very well known. I have 17,000 classroom hours of teaching experience from continuing education all the way up to graduate level. I taught computing topics, and more recently I taught game design and game promotion. I am now retired from that, and I make audiovisual classes for online use. Finally, the book focuses on game design, not game studies, not game analysis. Game studies is about the relationship between games and culture. It has nothing to do with game design in most respects, and game studies people are not interested in game design per se. Game analysis is a small part of game design, but only a small part. So, my view is that when you finish many game design books, you can ask yourself, but what do I do? And you don't know. You won't have that problem with my book. You'll know what to do. That doesn't mean you'll be good at it, but you'll know what to do. So it's not just another game design book. Now, if you're not into books, and many people are not in the 21st century, I've created audiovisual game design classes that you can take, which are effectively oral books with some additional advantages, and you can check for the latest news about that at pulseforgames.com.